I got the night shift job at Walmart 2 weeks after being laid off from a temp warehouse gig. It wasn't my dream job, but it paid just enough to keep the lights on. Midnight to 8 a.m., 5 nights a week. The store was in a sleepy part of town, on the edge of a suburb that always felt a little too quiet after dark. It was the kind of place where even the air conditioning sounded like it echoed. There were only 3 people working the night shift: me, Troy, who handled the loading bay, and Lisa, our supervisor, who stayed tucked in the back office, glued to the security cameras. On my first night, everything went smoothly. Stocked some shelves, dodged the creepy mannequins in the clothing section, listened to music on one earbud while I worked. But the second night, that's when things got weird. I was restocking canned goods near the frozen food section when I heard it, a faint voice, like someone whispering from a far-off place. It was coming from aisle 13. I turned down my music and froze, listening. "Help me, please." The voice was small, fragile, like a little girl on the edge of crying. At first, I thought maybe a customer had somehow gotten locked in after hours, even though Lisa swore she cleared the place before closing. I crept toward aisle 13, confused. That aisle had been closed off for renovation. A few days ago, a shelving unit collapsed there, and maintenance hadn't gotten around to fixing it. Plastic sheeting covered both ends of the aisle, like a quarantine zone. "Hello," I called. No answer, just the faint buzzing of fluorescent lights and the whir of distant coolers. I peeked through the plastic curtain. Broken shelves, discarded price tags. A few clearance toys strewn on the floor, including a stuffed pink rabbit that was lying face down. I exhaled, must have imagined it. Lack of sleep messing with my brain. But just as I turned to leave, I heard the voice again. "It's cold in here." I spun around, eyes scanning the aisle. No one, but then I noticed something different. The rabbit was sitting upright in the middle of the aisle. I stood there staring at it. I knew I hadn't touched it. I backed away slowly and made a beeline to the office. Lisa looked up from her monitors, clearly annoyed. "You're pale," she said. "What happened?" I heard something, a little girl from aisle 13. Lisa raised an eyebrow. "Nobody's in there." I swear it wasn't in my head. The stuffed rabbit moved on its own. She rolled her eyes and turned her screen toward me. "Look for yourself." The footage showed me walking into frame. Then nothing, just me, standing there like a scared idiot. Staring into the aisle, no voice, no rabbit movement. But that only made it worse, because I knew what I saw. And that voice, it didn't sound like it came from a person. It sounded like it came from somewhere deep. Somewhere wrong. The rest of my shift was spent jumping at every noise. I stayed far from aisle 13, even took the long way around just to avoid walking past it. Troy noticed me acting weird and asked if I was sick. I just nodded. The next night, around 3:30 a.m., I was headed back to the break room when I paused near the center of the store. From my spot, I could see the plastic sheeting at the far end of aisle 13. It was swaying, not flapping, not being blown by AC. Just slowly moving back and forth, like someone had walked through it a second before. I stopped, holding my breath. Then I saw it. A silhouette. No features, no color, just the outline of a small figure, standing perfectly still behind the curtain. I didn't move, didn't blink. It stood there for what felt like forever. Then it tilted its head to the side. That broke me. I ran to the office like my life depended on it. "Lisa," I gasped, "check the cameras, aisle 13. She sighed, annoyed, but something in my voice must have convinced her. She rewound the feed. There I was, walking past the aisle. Then we saw it, the silhouette, partially visible through the sheeting. Lisa frowned. That shouldn't be possible. She clicked into the second angle, inside the aisle. The footage glitched. 30 seconds of static, right as the figure appeared. "Probably a bad camera," she said. But I could tell she didn't believe her own words. She reluctantly handed me the radio. "Take Troy and check it, be quick." I met Troy at the back. I didn't tell him everything. just that Lisa wanted us to check out the aisle. He shrugged, grabbed a flashlight, and followed. As we approached aisle 13, I noticed the floor felt colder, like walking into a walk-in freezer. Troy pulled back the sheeting and stepped inside first. His light scanned the shelves, the cluttered floor, the toys. Nothing. Then he stopped. "Yo, look at this." He was pointing to the wall near the end of the aisle. Something had been scratched into it, crude, uneven, fresh. "Don't leave me here." The drywall was torn up like someone had clawed it out. And at the foot of the message was the stuffed pink rabbit, sitting neatly in the corner, looking right at us. Troy stepped back, clearly shaken. "Okay," he muttered, "we're done here." The night she stayed, Lisa told us not to talk about what we saw. "It's just kids sneaking in," she insisted, "teenagers pulling a prank." But there was no sign of forced entry. No doors left open, no missing merchandise. Just that damn aisle. I tried to call out sick the next night. Lisa didn't answer. I needed the paycheck. So I showed up, but I avoided aisle 13 like the plague. Around 1:45 a.m., Troy said he was heading to the back to use the bathroom. He didn't come back. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I radioed him. No response. I checked the loading dock, empty. That's when I heard it. Not a voice this time. A giggle, soft, echoing. Coming from aisle 13. I froze, my body wouldn't move. Then the radio on my hip crackled with static. And a voice whispered through it. "I like him better than you." I ran, all the way to the office. But the lights were off. Lisa wasn't at the desk. But the monitors were on. One of them showed the inside of aisle 13. Lisa was standing there, just standing, her arms limp at her sides. Her eyes locked on the far wall. She wasn't moving. Then something moved behind her. Small, pale, thin arms, no face, just a blank. Round head like a doll made of stretched skin. Then the screen cut to black. I didn't wait. I bolted, left the building, sat in my car until sunrise. The next day, neither Troy nor Lisa came back to work. When the store manager arrived for the morning shift, I told him everything. He didn't believe me. But when he checked the office footage, the feed from aisle 13 was completely missing. Wiped. That day the aisle was sealed shut permanently. Metal shutters, security tape. I quit that afternoon. But sometimes late at night, I check the store's public security cam stream online. And every now and then, aisle 13 flickers back on. Just for a few seconds. And when it does, there she is. That little girl, smiling, like she's waiting for someone else to join. I started working night shifts at Walmart a few months back. Not my dream job, but the pay was steady. And the store was quiet after hours, mostly. The weirdest part about working graveyard wasn't the silence. It was the customers that still came in at 2 or 3 a.m., wandering the aisles like ghosts. Most were harmless, just night owls or people who worked odd hours like me. But then there was the man in aisle 9. I first noticed him about 3 weeks into the job. He wore a faded blue hoodie, jeans, and a gray beanie pulled low over his head. Nothing strange about that, but what stuck out was that I always saw him standing in the exact same spot, halfway down aisle 9, right by the canned vegetables. He didn't have a cart, never carried anything. Never moved, just stood there staring at the shelves. At first I figured he was comparing prices or lost in thought. I'd see people zone out all the time. But this guy didn't flinch, ever. One time I dropped a whole box of canned corn 2 feet away from him, and he didn't even blink. Weird, but maybe he had earbuds in or something. The next few nights I saw him again. Same hoodie, same jeans, same spot. Never grabbing anything, never even turning his head. That's when I asked Eddie, the guy who handled stock rotation before me, if he'd ever noticed him. Tall guy in a blue hoodie, Eddie asked. Yeah, always in aisle 9. Eddie's face darkened. Man, I thought he was just my imagination. You've seen him too. Yeah, what? He didn't answer, just muttered something like, don't stare too long. I tried not to think about it, but the next night I couldn't help myself. I walked down aisle 9 slowly, pretending to scan the shelves, sneaking glances at the man up close. I noticed something off. His clothes looked worn, like way more worn than they should. His jeans were frayed at the cuffs, and his hoodie had small holes in the sleeves. His sneakers were scuffed and looked decades old. And then there were his hands. They were just wrong, pale, thin, and motionless, hanging at his sides. His fingernails looked dark, like they were stained or decaying. I stepped a little closer and cleared my throat just to see if he'd respond. Nothing. I backed away and left the aisle. Whatever this guy was doing, I didn't want to be part of it. Later, during break, I checked the cameras with Lisa from security. I didn't tell her much, just that I thought someone was hanging out in the same aisle every night. We rewound the footage to the previous week. There he was standing in the exact same spot. But when Lisa fast-forwarded the footage over several hours, he never moved, not once. Even weirder, she pointed something out I hadn't noticed before. Look, she said, he's there at 2:13 a.m. on Monday. And here he is at 2:13 a.m. on Tuesday. Exact same time, same position. Wait, are you saying he just appears there? Lisa didn't answer. She just slowly sat back in her chair, staring at the screen. Then she asked something I'll never forget. Have you ever actually seen him leave? That night I avoided aisle 9 completely. I busied myself with restocking health and beauty, far on the other side of the store. But even then I felt watched, like someone was staring at me from across the rows of shampoo bottles and deodorant sticks. At exactly 2:13 a.m., I made the mistake of checking. I peeked around the end cap and looked toward aisle 9. From that distance, it was hard to see clearly, but I swear I saw the faint outline of him, still as a statue, standing exactly where he always did. I ducked back behind the display. Heart pounding, this wasn't normal. No one stands in the same place at the exact same time, every single night without reason. I told myself I was imagining things. Sleep-deprived, overthinking. But deep down, I knew something was wrong with that man. 2 nights later, it got worse. I came in a little early, around 10:30 p.m., and the floor manager, Mike, pulled me aside. Hey, weird question, he said. You didn't leave any mannequins in aisle 9 last night, did you? What? No, why? He looked unsettled. Cleaner said she saw a man just standing there when she came in this morning. Thought it was a mannequin at first, until she got close and he was gone. Gone how? Just gone. She looked away and poof, no footprints, no nothing. I forced a laugh, probably just someone hiding from her. Weirdos come in all the time. Mike didn't laugh. She quit this morning. That night, curiosity got the better of me. At 2:10 a.m., I walked to aisle 9 with a fresh pallet of soup cans. Forcing myself to stay calm, as I turned the corner, my heart dropped. He was there, exactly where I expected, blue hoodie. Tattered jeans, beanie pulled down low. His hands still hung at his sides like dead weights. But this time his head was slightly tilted, like he was watching me approach. I froze. For the first time I realized something bone-chilling. I had never seen his face, not once. And suddenly I didn't want to. I turned away and started stocking cans. My back was to him, but I could feel it, his eyes, or whatever was under that beanie, locked on me. I tried to focus, stacking the cans neatly, pretending nothing was wrong. Then I heard it, a slow, shuffling sound. I turned around instantly. He hadn't moved, still standing there. But now his head was tilted more, almost unnaturally, like his neck didn't have bones. And his hands were now slightly lifted, just a few inches off his sides. No, I dropped the last can and hurried out of the aisle, practically sprinting toward the break room. My hands were shaking as I poured myself a coffee, trying to act normal. I didn't tell anyone that night. I didn't want to sound insane. The next day I called in sick. Just couldn't bring myself to go back. That evening Eddie texted me. Dude, you working tonight? Lisa's gone. I called him. What do you mean she's gone? She left in the middle of her shift. Her car's still in the lot, security room's a mess. Footage is missing, like manually deleted. Only thing left was one clip. He sent it to me. I watched it with the volume off at first. It was grainy, recorded from the overhead cam in aisle 9. Lisa was standing there alone. Flashlight in hand, she aimed it down the aisle, nothing, just shelves. Then a flicker, one frame. The man was suddenly there, closer than usual. The video glitched, then jumped again. He was now just a few feet behind her. Then black. That was it. The police were called, a missing persons report was filed. They reviewed the footage and wrote it off as a system error. Said she probably had a breakdown and wandered off. But Eddie and I knew better. He asked me one question before we ended the call that night. Do you think he's stuck there? I didn't answer, because in my gut I felt something worse. I think he chooses to stay. After Lisa disappeared, everything changed. The night shift crew got shuffled. New security was brought in. Management told us not to talk about the incident. But people whispered anyway. Everyone had theories. Some thought Lisa ran off. Some said she saw something she wasn't supposed to. But no one said what we were all thinking. It had to do with him. The man in aisle 9. I tried to avoid him for a few nights. I asked to work in the back room just to stay away. But I couldn't stop thinking about him. About that video, that final frame, him. Standing inches from her, motionless. I started to notice small changes. The lights above aisle 9 began flickering more than usual. Products would shift or fall for no reason. The shelf where he stood always had something knocked over. Dented or out of place, like he was trying to reach for something or someone. Then one night Eddie didn't show up. At first I thought maybe he called in. But around 3 a.m. I found his phone sitting on the floor outside the stockroom. Screen cracked, still on. The last thing he texted me. Hey, moved. I told Mike, told him everything. About Eddie, Lisa, the video, the man who never left. Mike stared at me like I was nuts. There's no man in aisle 9, he said. We don't even have footage from that part of the store anymore. Cameras are out. I left early that night. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. And worse, I started seeing him outside of work. In reflections on sidewalks, always just a glimpse, a man in a blue hoodie watching from a distance. One night I came home and found a dented can of green beans sitting on my kitchen table. No one had keys to my place. I quit the next day. Blocked the store number, changed apartments, moved across town. For a while things were fine. I picked up a delivery job, kept my head down. Then last week I got a call from an unknown number. The voicemail was nothing but static, and one quiet whisper at the end. Aisle 9. This morning I went to the grocery store for the first time in weeks. Not a Walmart, some local shop near my new place. I was walking down an aisle looking for cereal, when I noticed something off about the shelves ahead. A man was standing there. Back turned, blue hoodie, frayed jeans, scuffed sneakers. He wasn't moving. I froze. Every instinct told me to turn around and leave. But I couldn't. I just stared at him, transfixed. And slowly he turned his head. Not fully, just enough for me to see part of his face beneath the bani. His skin was pale and sunken, like he hadn't eaten in months. His eyes, there was nothing there. Just void, not even black, just absence. And then his lips moved. No sound came out, but I understood. You saw me, you spoke about me. He took one slow step toward me. I ran. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he ever worked there, or if he ever existed in the way we think of people, but I do know this. He's not tied to aisle 9 anymore. Wherever I go, whatever store I enter, if there's an aisle marked 9, I skip it. If you work late shifts, if you ever see a man just standing there doing nothing, don't speak to him. Don't look too long. Don't ask questions, because once you acknowledge him, he never leaves you. Walmart night shifts are quiet, that's why I like them. No customers, just shelves, soft fluorescent hums, and the occasional beep from the scanners. I could throw in my earbuds, stock for 6 hours, and clock out without saying a word to anyone. But about a month ago, something started happening. It began small. I'd be in the middle of an aisle, say, cleaning up spilled pet food in aisle 14, and I'd hear a faint click from the overhead PA system. Nothing unusual, sometimes it crackles randomly. But then I heard it again, louder this time. Click, static, silence. That's when I looked up and realized something chilling. The light above me dimmed for a split second. Then the PA crackled once more. And this time it said my name. A whisper but clear. Daniel. That's it, just my name, soft. Drawn out like someone was testing the mic. I froze, dropped the dustpan, looked around. No one, just me and the store. I radioed the security booth. Hey, is someone messing with the PA? Silent. Then a voice responded. I didn't touch anything, you good? It was Marcus, the security guy that night. He sounded normal, calm. I lied, yeah, just heard static, thought it was you. He chuckled, "This place has a mind of its own. Welcome to Walmart." I laughed it off and went back to work. The next night I walked into the back room and passed by the PA controls. I paused, looked through the small glass window into the booth. Marcus was there drinking coffee. Headphones on, the mic light was off. Still, as I walked into the loading bay, I heard it again. Click. Daniel. This time it was clearer, right above me. Like the ceiling itself had whispered. I rushed back toward the security booth and knocked. Marcus took off his headphones. "What's up?" "You sure you're not messing with the mic?" He looked annoyed. "Dude, I haven't touched it. You can check the logs. Last mic access was hours ago." He wasn't lying. I checked. Nothing had been triggered. But someone or something was saying my name. The next few days I tried to ignore it. Figured maybe I was tired, sleep deprived, imagining things. But then things escalated. It didn't just say my name anymore. Now it repeated phrases, things I had said earlier during my shift. One night I muttered, "I'm so damn tired," while loading up pallets. 20 minutes later, over the PA, a distorted voice said, "So damn tired." I dropped the scanner and looked up at the ceiling speakers. My hands were shaking. This wasn't random. It was listening. Things started feeling wrong. The PA clicks always happened between 2 o'clock and 2:15 a.m., right in the dead middle of my shift. Never a second before, never after. I began recording the audio on my phone. But every time I played it back, all I got was static, no voice, no whisper. Nothing. One night I stayed past my shift and waited in the booth after Marcus left. I wanted to see if it would happen when I was the only one with access. At 2:07 a.m., the mic light flicked on by itself. No one touched it. The mic wasn't even warm, like it hadn't been used. Then I heard it again. "Daniel, look behind you." My heart hammered in my chest as the PA system crackled with that distorted voice, whispering my name. "Daniel, look behind you." I froze. The room around me felt suddenly too big. The silence too heavy, the speaker above me was still. But I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Slowly I turned around, scanning the room. But there was nothing, just the empty booths and aisles. No one was there. I looked back at the mic, my fingers hovering over my phone, unsure whether to record or call Marcus. But as I took a step closer to the booth, I caught something that made my skin crawl. On the computer screen, the PA system log was open, and my name, Daniel, was listed in the access logs as though someone had manually triggered the system. I stared at it, my name right there. But I hadn't touched the mic. It didn't make sense. I backed away from the screen, suddenly feeling trapped in the room. My mind raced with 1,000 possibilities. Could someone have hacked into the system? Or maybe Marcus was playing a prank. But Marcus had left hours ago. He had no reason to mess with me. I checked the time, 2:13 a.m. That was when it happened again. But this time it wasn't just my name. "Daniel, don't trust them." The voice was louder this time, clearer. It was as if the speaker was alive, breathing my name in a voice that wasn't human. I jumped back, my breath coming in short bursts. I fumbled for the radio but couldn't find the right button. The only sound in the room was the speaker crackling in the background. I bolted out of the security booth. Adrenaline coursing through my veins, I had to get out of there. I ran through the aisles, my mind spinning. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how everything had been so off in the last few days. The way the PA system had called my name. The strange phrases it repeated. The time seemed like a trap, always at 2:13 a.m. every time I'd hear it. My unease would grow, but this was different. As I made my way down aisle 3, I thought I saw something in my peripheral vision, a figure moving in the far distance. But when I looked, there was nothing. I kept walking, trying to push the thoughts from my mind. But then I heard it again. This time the voice was closer. "Daniel, it's coming, look behind you." I whipped around. There was nothing, just the empty aisles stretching on forever. I walked faster, my footsteps echoing in the silence. The lights flickered above me, casting odd shadows across the shelves. Every second felt like an eternity. And that's when I noticed it. The PA system wasn't just playing through the speakers anymore. I heard the voice in the aisles, in the shelves, like it was coming from the walls themselves. I ran, my feet moved faster than I ever thought possible. The sound of the PA system repeating my name, my words echoing in my mind. I made it to the front of the store, out of breath and trembling. The security guard at the front desk looked at me as I stumbled in. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, noticing my panicked state. I tried to speak but couldn't get the words out. I just nodded and pointed toward the PA system. He raised an eyebrow but didn't seem concerned. "The mic's been off all night." I stared at him. "What? No, I heard it. It spoke my name," it said. Before I could finish, the overhead speakers crackled. And then I heard it again, clear as day. "Daniel, you shouldn't be here." I froze. The voice was coming from right above us. The security guard turned pale, his face drained of color. The mic was still off, but the voice continued. "Get out, you're not supposed to know." The security guard and I locked eyes. He heard it too. That meant I wasn't going insane. He slowly reached for his walkie-talkie, voice shaking. Central, we just had audio come through the PA. "No one's at the mic, can you check the booth?" Static, then a brief reply. "Booth is empty, no activity logged, PA's disabled." But the voice had been crystal clear. We stood there in silence, listening, waiting for something else. But there was nothing, no more whispers. No static, the store returned to dead silence, like nothing had happened. That's when the guard, his name tag said Alan, turned to me and said, "You're not the first." "What do you mean?" He looked around and then lined in. 2 years ago, a cashier named Tasha started hearing the same thing. PA calling her name, then it started repeating her thoughts. She quit, left town, never came back. I swallowed hard. What about the others? "4 I know of," he said, "all gone." All after hearing the system speak when no one was near it. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I dug through old news archives, employee forums, Reddit threads, anything related to Walmart late shifts and PA system glitches. I found one post buried in a conspiracy subreddit. Walmart night shift, PA knows your name. Posted by Anonymous 717. Every night, same time, 2:13 a.m. it starts with a whisper. Then it knows your thoughts, eventually. It starts giving warnings. Some people leave. Some vanish. If it ever speaks while you're looking in a mirror, run. That was all. The post had no replies. No upvotes, deleted 10 minutes after it was posted. It chilled me more than the voice itself. 2 nights later, I made the stupid decision to go back. I needed answers, I needed proof. I clocked in, avoided everyone, and went straight to the security booth. I brought my own camera and set it up facing the PA mic, sat down, waited. 2 a.m., 2:05 a.m., 2:10 a.m., nothing, 2:13 a.m., click. The mic light turned on. No one touched it. And then the voice came, louder than ever. "Daniel, you should have left." It paused, then whispered, "Check the mirror." My blood ran cold. There was only one mirror in the security booth on the cabinet door behind me. I turned slowly, and I saw something I'll never forget. Me, but not me. The reflection was wearing my clothes. My face, but he wasn't moving the way I was. He was staring back at me dead still, with a faint smile. I reached up to touch the glass, and my reflection didn't move. It just stared. Then it mouthed something. "Stay." The mic light blinked off. The room went silent. When I looked back at the mirror, my reflection was normal again. I quit the next morning. Didn't wait for my final paycheck. I blocked every number from the store. Got a new phone, moved out of state. But sometimes late at night, I still hear it. That soft click, the faint static, and then, "Daniel." I don't answer. I don't look in mirrors after midnight. And I never walk under ceiling speakers if I can help it. Because once it knows your name, it never forgets.